Here's another question from our interview with Brandon Spencer-Hartle of the City of Portland. Presented by your Eastmoreland neighbors, bringing you the facts you need and deserve.
Replacement of siding, windows, that wouldn't be demolition. You really structurally are removing half or more of your building.
Okay. So we've talked about the term design review, but maybe for the folks who aren't as familiar with that concept, and I think I heard you say that even though national and local are separate and design review doesn't automatically apply, there is a path where folks in an historic district could implement design review restrictions. Did I hear that correct?
So yeah, you did. And this is where there's a policy choice. So the state law says local governments apply demolition review upon listing in the National Register. And if you want to apply more regulation, you can do that. That's a local choice. Okay. There's a couple ways you can do that. One would be and this has been some of the testimony. Okay, well, National Register, we've relied on this in Portland for a long time to bring local historic district status, and so there should be a really quick truing up of the processes. So immediately after National Register, we do a quick local historic designation or a quick addition of design review to a resource listed in the National Register. Mm-hmm. On the other side of the sort of discussion has been an argument that says, applying design review has a cost, and the cost is borne by property owners, tenants, and the broader community, because we've made it more difficult to build, more difficult to adapt and amend buildings in the historic district. And so there ought to be a robust public process with a local designation and a city council decision. Mm-hmm. Me and my colleagues have been swayed by that argument that says, if we're going to add protections beyond what the minimum required by the state look like, then there ought to be a separate local designation process. And in that process, A, the full community should be engaged. B, there should be a public hearing at both City Council and with the Landmarks Commission and Planning and Sustainability Commission. And C, we should go back and talk to the owners again, that there should be another conversation with owners about whether or not there's support in the district to do that. And the way that owner support threshold looks in the code proposal is a majority consent. So different than the National Register process. It says we're looking for if a majority oppose and it doesn't move forward. The way we've conceived this local designation process is let's look at the other side of that coin. Have a majority of property owners consent to designation, have that public process. It's open and transparent to the full community. And only then, and only with a majority vote of City Council, would design protections be applied to a district. And that's consistent with what most other major cities do today. It's consistent with how we make other land use decisions. It does give a little more voice to property owners than we might give with other types of land use decisions. But the application of historic resource review or design review is something that we should be thoughtful about, something we should really, as a community, value, and that we should ensure doesn't place burdens on owners and tenants in a way that hasn't been fully considered. And so that's the proposal is Eastmoreland may get listed in the National Register. It may have demo review, but applying design protections through a local designation would be a separate process. And that process would go through multiple steps and really require evaluation about whether or not that's a right call for protecting historic resources or not.
So is that is something that can be initiated by anybody, it sounds like, the local process?
Well, it's a good question. It let's say, I think it couldn't be initiated by anybody. I think it could be requested by people. But what it would need is it would need a champion on the Portland City Council to basically say, we really want to bring this project forward, or a coalition of city bureaus, commissioners on our Landmarks and Planning and Sustainability Commission. It would need to be a city process. And that city process certainly could be initiated by a deluge of requests to do something or council interest in doing it. But a member of the public couldn't walk down to City Hall with a proposal to designate an Eastmoreland local historic district and just kick that process off. There would need to be the scoping and the political will to move it forward.
So let's say that there is that.
Visit our website for the full hour-long video with Brandon about how a historic district will impact Eastmoreland. That's at eastmorelandhistoricdistrict.com.